Hello, and welcome to the Delusional Boyfriend Book Club. My name is Courtney, and I'll be your host.
I'm Phoebe.
And today we're talking about May's romance novel of the month, Half the Battle by Elle Thorpe, the second book in the St. View Psycho series.
Yep. Okay, are we ready to get into it?
Yeah, well, first I'm going to go over our tropes. So we've got dark romance, we've got kinky, we've got voyeurism, we have MMFM, why choose, reverse harem, we have biker club, and I would say that's about it. We have got like a psychological,
it's a murder mystery.
Gray.
There's brother's best friend, age gap, psychopath.
Exactly. So
MMC.
Just to give you...
And it's a reverse harem. Did you say that?
Yeah, reverse harem, why choose? Which if you're listening to the romance novel episodes, then you already know these are all reverse harem, why choose romances. They're all by Elle Thorpe. And if you guys haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel and you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe. And if you're listening on a podcast app, make sure you subscribe there as well. That way the episodes auto download. I am doing a bunch of bonus episodes that don't fall on the 5th, the 15th, and the 25th. So if you're not subscribed, you won't get notified for that. So make sure you hit subscribe. And if you're not listening to the other episodes, on the 5th, I go over a BL anime and manga, and BL stands for boys love. So it's always gay. And then same thing on the 15th, it's a BL manhwa, which is a Korean webcomic. And if you guys aren't into that, but you are into MM fiction, I beg you to give it a chance. You'll love it. Yeah. So with all of that said, let's dig right into our kind of overview plot breakdown for the story.
Okay. So we're going to start with a little recap here. So we've got our four main characters. There's Bliss. She's our FMC. She's St. View born, but Providence raised. She's plus size queen. We have Vincent / Scythe. We met them in prison. He's our lovable psychopath. He's got dissociative identity disorder. He's the best. Okay, then we have Nash. He is the brother's best friend, hottie bar runner. He's 14 years older than Bliss, so there's a good age gap there. And then we have War. He is the leader of the motorcycle club, and he is like super tall, baby girl saying, yeah, he's hot. We love him.
He's so hot.
He is very good looking.
The delusional boyfriend. And we've got two murder mysteries going on. Our main character, Bliss, her brother has been shot dead.
Yep.
And then War's father has been in a fatal car accident where he was also shot dead and his mother is in the hospital. Yep. So we're in the middle of trying to solve both of those mysteries they both occurred in volume 1.
Yeah. And so there's some other important characters I just want to remind you of. Caleb, I literally wrote down, boo.
Hate him.
We hate him. He's Bliss's ex-shithead boyfriend. We have Army and Fancy. That's War's parents. Army is his dad. Fancy's his mom. Army was the president of the club. He's dead now. Fancy is in a coma at the hospital. We've got Bliss's mom and Jerry. Her mom is a sex worker, and her stepdad, Jerry, is a piece of shit, and he's a pimp. And then we've got Axel. He dead, but that's her brother. And then we've got Bliss's dad, who is from Providence, and her stepmom, Nichelle, who is a worthless wife of a failing businessman. So
and they've got 2 kids.
That are way younger than Bliss.
And Bliss takes care of them, so they're important to her, although all of her parents are kind of useless.
Yes, super useless parents. Okay, so in book 1, we had Axel got murdered. Bliss kind of threw her life into chaos by taking over the bar, and she's got all of these love interests. She starts sleeping with War. She's kissed Vincent. She's clearly interested in Nash, but he's been denying himself because he's dumb. Boys are dumb. And at the end of the book, we leave on a huge cliffhanger. Bliss is going to get the drug money she thinks she's going to the drop for the drug dealer for money that she owes this drug dealer.
Which we should say in this little recap. The club they're running is not only a bar, but
it's a sex club.
It's a sex club, yes. And they sell drugs out of the sex club. So Bliss has embroiled herself in a world of crime just by taking over ownership of this bar. So in order to do more sex club parties, she does have to keep the drugs coming in, which is why she's bringing like $40,000 to an unknown man in an unmarked location.
Yeah. Okay, and then, so she thinks she's going to do that. She shows up where she thinks the drop is happening. Vincent's behind her for protection, following her. And then she gets there, and it's Caleb. It's not the drop she thought it was. And Caleb starts attacking her. He's trying to sexually assault her again. So fucked up. And Vincent finally shows up. He got into a car accident on the way there, and he finally shows up, but he's clearly going through some shit mentally, and she's yelling for him, and he's not responding. He's not doing anything. And then finally Bliss yells out for Scythe, and Scythe like takes over Vincent, and the book ends. So that's book 1, and we get right back into the action in book 2. So we're back at the cliffs, and now Scythe is in control, which I fucking love Scythe.
I love Scythe.
I told you were going to love him.
I have been waiting for Vincent, because Vincent's personality is very, like, gentlemanly and socially awkward.
Yeah, and, like, demure and, like, really reserved. And Scythe is, like, the opposite. He's super chatty. He's, like, so sarcastic. He's really funny. He has a good sense of humor. He's more, like, naturally fits in with people because he was in control in all of his developmental years, like, all through high school. So I think that's part of why.
There is a really interesting part, though, where his mom comes into the story and she says, just remember, this is why you're not the dominant personality. And we realize that Scythe is in control right now, but Vincent really is the true personality at the heart of this person. So he snaps into control in order to save Bliss from this assault, because Vincent himself has sworn off violence, and he knows that if he gives into the violence, he will not be able to take back over, and that everything will start to spiral. So he goes inward, and Scythe can like hear him in the back, Vincent in the back of his mind, like trying to have an impact on the situation and be heard. But Scythe silences that voice and takes over, and things get bloody really fast. Really fast.
So he like beats the shit out of Caleb, and then he's like, okay, Bliss, it's your kill. And she's like, what? I'm not going to kill him. He's like, yeah, you should kill him. It's your kill. Like, here. And she doesn't want to kill him, but she is full of rage, rightfully so. So then she starts beating him. She starts hitting him in the stomach. Scythe's holding him back. She hits him in the face, and then he says to her, it's so much more satisfying with a blade. Like, just take my knife. And she's like, no, I can't do it. And he's like, come on. And then together they carve Bliss's name, because he keeps calling her Bethany Melissa. And so she's like, that's not my name. And then Vincent or Scythe is like, let him remember what your name is. And they carve Bliss literally into his chest, which is crazy.
It's crazy. So they go home from that situation. There was no drug deal. They basically like left him for dead. But they both know he's not going to die.
And one of my favorite parts is that they leave, and Scythe is so relaxed, fine, whatever. She's freaking out, and he's like, I'm hungry. And he pulls into a fucking McDonald's drive-thru.
They're covered in blood.
Yeah. Bliss is freaking out, and Scythe is just like, I want some nuggies. Like, I want a Big Mac. Come on, let's go. And they get McDonald's. It's just, I love that. It's
and
so
when
funny.
they get back to Vincent's house, Scythe is still in control of Vincent's body, and he is immediately rude to Vincent's little dog, and she grabs his Big Mac and feeds it to the dog. And she's like, you need to go wash all this blood off you anyways. And he's like, who cares? And she's like, this is not normal. This is not normal for me.
What is wrong with you?
I miss Vincent. I love Vincent, and he is my bodyguard, and he is my friend. I don't know you, Scythe, and you might have popped out to protect me, and I thank you for that, but I don't know you, and I don't like you so far.
Yeah. So that's pretty funny, which I love all of that. But yeah, it is really unfortunate that Bliss won't just kill Caleb, because it's going to hurt in the long run that he stays living.
So she basically is worried that he's dead, and Vincent or Scythe is like, don't you think the contract killer would know if he ended a man's life? He's definitely still alive. Let's go check on him, just so you can prove to yourself that everything's fine and he's still alive. So,
but before that happens, they go back to the bar, and War is there helping clean up the bar because the bikers all destroyed it. And this part is like so good, so we have to talk about it. Okay. Because they go to the Bliss is so happy to see him. He takes her back to the compound. They're like walking from the main part of the compound to War's cabin, and they like start fucking in the middle of the woods, and he's like going down on her. And then he looks up and he fucking sees somebody, and it's Scythe standing there watching them. And he's like, hey, how the fuck did you get onto this compound? We are like have high security, everything's fenced. I don't even know how you're here. B, I'm such a fucking exhibitionist. It's fine. And so he's like making eye contact with Scythe while he's going down on her. She has no idea. And then he starts fucking her. And then to prove a point to Scythe, he comes all over her.
And Scythe is literally palming himself.
Yeah,
in the
he's
forest.
like unbuttoning his pants, like starts to jerk it. And then he's like, I gotta stop.
It's so great.
Fucking awesome.
I would say that voyeurism in this story is like one of my favorite kinks or tropes in a book so far. This is
which I think is kind of part of reverse harem in general, because
the other two are always
you're always getting turned on by other
but this
people
one is,
watching you or you watching other people.
Especially,
but this one's really intense because he's not a part of it.
And compared to the last book, that was like, there's never any public indecency. Yeah. And this one, there's tons of public indecency because we're on a biker compound where like the new leader, War, who is her love interest, he's been told since he was like 16, if you're going to fuck a woman, fuck her in front of everybody. So everyone knows that you are dominant and you are the one in charge here. So both at the sex club and at the biker base camp, there is a lot of public indecency and sex, and I find that very hot.
And so then this is another important thing that happens immediately following this scene. It kind of sets us up. So he kind of tells Scythe off. Bliss goes into War's cabin, and Siren is in the cabin, who she is also a part of the biker gang. And she informs us all, the reader and Bliss, that she is going to wed War. Like, they've been promised each other from birth. And her dad is the motorcycle club leader of a different faction, but he founded the club with War's dad. And they're going to end up together. And Bliss is kind of freaked out, but also she has like this little moment where she's just like, well, I'm fucking him now, so get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm the one covered in his cum, so you better leave, which I love for her.
Oh, yeah.
It's good.
So she was just like, if you want to clean up after us, you can, but let him know to bring a towel into me when he gets here. Yeah. Meanwhile, he's off in the forest talking to
Scythe, who he thinks is Vincent.
He thinks he's Vincent. He knows he's looking for a murderer named Scythe, who they think killed his dad. So if he had any
Bliss doesn't know that. He hasn't told Bliss that. And so all Bliss knows is that Scythe said to her, you cannot call me that in front of other people. And she kind of is thinking, oh, he doesn't want people to know he's got this like split personality. Yes. And she thinks that's why. But he's saying it as to cover his ass because everybody knows Scythe is this notorious criminal.
Yep.
And he knows that he is the one that's responsible for killing War's dad.
And Vincent and War had no chemistry in the first book before Scythe takes over. Vincent and War had
very awkward.
No chemistry. It was very awkward. And clearly Vincent knows that he's responsible for that murder, but he didn't have any relationship with this guy. So it didn't really
matter.
It didn't matter. Yeah. So now that Scythe has taken over the personality and he's feeling sexual chemistry, he's like jerking off to them in the woods.
And they have like, they're flirting. They're flirting.
He goes out to the woods to like reprimand him, and they're face to face, like breathing each other's air, really enjoying that moment. And even though it's like very aggro, they clearly have a spark between them. So at this point, we know that he's killed his dad. That needs to be kept a secret. And then War goes out from that interaction in the woods, goes to shower with her, and explains that he has no intention of really marrying this girl. It's just what's been set up for him in his life, and that he doesn't want to. Like, they discuss, are we boyfriend and girlfriend? We've been hooking up for a while now, and they both kind of determine that they're not ready for that kind of commitment.
Yeah, like War is more ready for it, but she's like, I have interest in these other people, and he's like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to stop what we're doing. But this then sets us up for one of my favorite scenes of the whole book, which is the next day, Bliss is working, the boys meet up. So Scythe comes, War gets woken up by Fang telling him, there's a guy here and he's talking about how bad our security is and that he knows you sleep naked and blah, 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 blah. And War's like, oh, my door's open. Like, he was definitely here. And so he wants to meet up to talk about how they can improve the security.
He's like, he says he's got a big dick.
Yeah, which is just so funny.
And then War looks at his door and the door's still cracked open. So he knows that Vincent has been literally spying on him. He knows how to get into the compound, and he does agree to kind of let him help with the security.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, we'll go get a drink. And so they go to get a drink while Bliss is working, and they get trash. Like, they're drunk. And they're like, she's not going to be done for a while. And they had this whole... Scythe talks about going bowling, and Bliss is like, bowling sucks. And then he brings it up to War. He's like, how do you feel about bowling? He's like, bowling's the best. Bowling and blowjobs.
Bowling, beers, and blowjobs. Yeah. The 3 Bs every man loves. So they
go to the bowling alley together, and this is the best. They're like clearly low-key flirting the whole time. And the guy tells him, the bowling alley's closing. And so they leave, and they're outside the bowling alley, and then they start making out, and then things start getting so hot and heavy. And then they're like, have each other's pants undone. Like, they're about to, somebody's getting a blowjob. And then the worker from the bowling alley walks out, interrupts them, and it's so good.
There's a moment when he's about to throw the ball, the last ball of the game, and it's Vincent is going up to bowl it, and War comes to stand right next to him right as he's going to throw the ball, and he says, how do you feel about fucking a man? And so they like set it up that like War is actually not afraid to go there, and then this moment you're absolutely sure they're gonna blow each other until this guy interrupts, and then they're like, the moment's over, it's dead, let's just go our separate ways.
Yeah, so that part is so good. I love that scene. It's so good. And then Bliss gets a call that Axel's body is being released from the police. They're not going to investigate his death, but she wants to have a funeral. So she starts planning this funeral, and Nash shows up, and he helps her start to plan the funeral. She decides she wants to invite her mom because that's how she's related to Axel. And so they go to the trailer park. They have this kind of confrontation with Jerry, and he's a piece of shit, of course. And then she invites Kim to the funeral. And then he brings Bliss home, and she gets home, and it's a crazy storm, and she's like having really bad PTSD.
Vincent brings Bliss home to his house.
No, Nash drops her off at she's been staying there.
At Vincent's house.
Yeah.
Yes, but I just want to clarify. Oh, yeah. We're at
her home in this whole book is Vincent's house.
Yes.
Yeah, she's been staying there since in the first book. So Nash drops her off there. She gets home. She's kind of freaked out, and she can't sleep. And so she's like, I just want comfort. So she crawls into bed with Scythe. Even though she's like, I kind of hate him, but I kind of like him. And so she crawls in bed with him. And
it was thundering the night that Caleb tried to rape her. So she's definitely having flashbacks to that assault.
Absolutely. And so she's freaked out. She crawls in bed with him, and she's still kind of freaking out. And he's like, okay, come here, and starts spooning her. And then she's like, oh, I feel so great. And then about 30 seconds later, she's like, are you naked? And he's like, yeah, of course. What do you mean? And then she can't stop thinking about how he's naked. And then one thing leads to another. And then they finally fuck. Yeah, it's good.
And it is like Vincent is kind of like a virgin.
Yes, Vincent's like so awkward, but Scythe is not.
Scythe is the only one who's ever had any sexual experience when his personality has been dominant. So it was like if the sex scene had been with Vincent, I feel like it would have been so awkward because like, even their kiss is awkward. Yeah. But with Scythe in control, it's like hard and fast, and he knows what he's doing. It was lovely.
It was lovely. So they finally hook up, and then we have the funeral next. And so at the funeral, like, it goes okay. They go to have drinks after at the bar, and Bliss invites her dad and Nichelle and the kids, even though she's like, it's not really your scene, but I still want you to be here. Like, we're a family. And they come, and then Kim and Jerry also come, and Jerry starts running his mouth about how her younger sister Everett would be like, oh, people would pay money for her. Like, she's so good. She's going to be a beauty just like Bliss. And the men, of course, because this is like she's like 12, 10, freak the fuck out and beat the shit out of Jerry.
And while Jerry's getting beat the shit out of, he mentions, and the mom also kind of mentions, like, oh, Nash, you don't want us telling your history. So don't take this too far. We'll tell all of your secrets. So we also get a hint right around here that Nash's past is also kind of dark.
Yeah. And this is kind of the first scene where we see these three guys as like a united front. They're all on the same page. They beat the shit out of Jerry. They know they can't kill Jerry, and they know they got to get Jerry out of here. So Bliss is comforting her family, and they take Jerry back to the trailer park, and they're like, are you sure Bliss would be upset if we killed him? But they're like, yes, she would definitely be upset. And so they drop Jerry off. Nash goes back to the bar, and the boys are like, we need to clean up. And so then this leads to another great scene where Scythe invites War back to his place to clean up. And they get there, and Scythe...
They're covered in blood because Scythe has broken Jerry's nose, so he has, like, blood splattered on his face, and War really likes that.
Yes, so Scythe goes into the bathroom to start, like, he gets undressed, and he's about to get in the shower, and then War comes in, and he's like, what are you doing here? And War's like, oh, you know, like, I'm finishing what I started, and then War gives him, like, a blowjob.
But it's not even that. He starts off by, like... pouring beer slowly down his body.
Yeah, and he like licks it up.
Of him.
Yeah, and then he pours it, and then Scythe takes the beer and pours it all over his dick, and that's how the blowjob starts. You're right.
It was so hot. This is okay because there is another scene coming up that's really good. I can't totally say it. But
I know, but this is one of the good ones.
It might be my favorite.
And also, I feel like they're all low key one scene because it's all like. You know, connected.
It all blends in. But this one is seriously maybe my favorite scene because it's the two of them for the first time, like, actually getting down and dirty with it.
And I love that neither one of them, like, have gone with a man, but also neither one of them are even...
hesitant.
No, which I love.
And both of them have been like, I would suck your dick. I would suck your dick. Like, they both want it. And War... gets on his knees and just like based on their personalities, especially when Vincent was in control, I was like, I wonder who's going to be like the aggressor, who's going to do what. Yeah. And to see War like so quickly get down on his knees was so good. Yeah. And then he's like, they're making it more manly by like licking all this beer off each other and then I think they get in the shower together.
Yeah, they do. But before so hot. It's so great because there's this moment where you're in Scythe's head and he's like, oh, I just really want to fuck his face. And then he's like, yeah. And then War looked at me and he was like, do it. And this was the thing about getting with a man. He knew exactly what was going through my mind.
He knew exactly how to make it feel better. That was one of those lines that I was just like, okay.
Right?
This is why we read MLM. This is why we read BL. Because seriously, knowing someone else's anatomy like you know your own is just different.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a perfect scene.
Yeah. And then they take a shower together. We jump back to Bliss's perspective, and she gets home. She thinks the boys are hanging out because she like almost runs over War's bike in the driveway. And she's like, I'm really tired. She doesn't turn any lights on. She figures they're watching TV or something. She's just going to go straight up to bed. And she walks up and she opens her door and lo and behold, these two are just laying in her bed watching a movie. And she's like, what?
And I think they're shirtless and they're also watching
Little Women.
And Vincent, because War still doesn't know that this is Scythe who's in control. Yeah. But Vincent says, oh, this is my favorite movie. I couldn't leave. And War is like, come on, sit down between us. And she's like, do I have to sit next to him? And Vincent's like, if you don't, then I can't quote every line to you and tell you how.
I can't tell you how every part is different from the book.
And I was
just
like,
such a mood.
It was such a mood. I was like, he's one of us. He's like a book talk girly, and also he's so in touch with his feminine instincts to be reading and loving Little Women is just it's a great character point.
Yeah, so good. And then she kicks Scythe out, and then she's talking to War, and they're like start kind of hooking up, and then I don't even know like how it happens, but she invites Scythe back in.
Oh, this is how it happens.
Okay, tell me.
She pushes Scythe onto the ground off the bed, and because he's pissing her off, and then they're talking about making a sex tape. Yeah. And Vincent calls her vanilla, and she's like, I'm not vanilla. And War says, yeah, you're strawberry. And she goes, I'm at least Neapolitan. And she's like, you know what, War, set up your phone. We're gonna make a video. And then she looks at Scythe and she's like, you get out of here. And he jumps on the bed and pins her down. And then he's like, okay, I will get out of here. So he leaves, and War looks back at her and goes, you're really gonna let him leave? And she doesn't want to say, I would like him to be in here. Yeah. So then War shouts out and he's like, Vincent, get back over here. So Vincent comes in. She's all nervous. She puts a pillow over her head. And Vincent goes, if I join, is she going to wear a pillow over her head the whole time? And she's like too nervous to like even engage with the situation. And she is like a full-bodied woman. And I love that she is both self-conscious of herself and finding this like confidence within her. And especially because these men like hype her up so much that she strips down and she's like, okay, let's do it this way. They put a blindfold over her. There's one moment where War like literally flips her over, and I'm thinking about her being plus sized. And I don't know if you know that TikToker who goes, just to prove you're not too heavy for me to carry you to the bed. And then he carries like 450 pounds and 600 pounds and he carries it across the gym. And that, it was just one of those moments where it's like, oh, a true man, if he's a true man, he's never going to struggle with you. So they get her blindfolded, get her on the bed, and they start massaging her together with a camera set up to film the whole thing. Gorgeous setup.
Yes, it's beautiful. And then they fuck. And we get our first, like, glimpse of some butt play.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Just a little tease.
But as Vincent is, like, going down on her, she almost calls him Scythe. And that is the first time also that she almost fucks up. So she almost says it, and War goes, what were you just about to say? And she's like, oh, I just need to take the blindfold off.
She has to take the blindfold off because she has to be looking at him to remind herself. And so, that's the first time War kind of hears her be like, Vincent. Yeah.
So then the dynamic, first off, is War is fucking her doggy style while she blows Vincent. Or is it the other way?
He's eating her out while she blows War, I think.
But then one of them fucks her. And I think that,
I don't remember. It was a blur.
Is a very good
It's good,
blur.
though.
But one of them is fucking her while she gives the other one a blowjob. And then when they finish,
Vincent's fucking her and War starts like thumbing her asshole.
Yes.
And she's like starts pushing back against it. She's like into it. She's riding Vincent.
Okay.
And he's behind her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then Vincent comes and then she comes and then War still hasn't gotten off. So she goes.
Yeah. She goes to grab his dick and Vincent's already got his hand on her dick and she's like, that's hot.
Love watching this.
Yeah. She's like so caught off guard. But is like, oh my God, it's so hot. She loves it.
Yeah, so we get the first little glimpse of some DP here. They're warming up that back door to get entered into later. And then also we get her finally recognizing that there's something going on between the two of them.
And she likes it.
And then being out in the open in front of her that there's definitely chemistry between them.
Yeah. So after this, we flash forward and... I'm sorry, I actually forgot to say this, but it's Nash's 40th birthday. And so they're throwing a sex party for him, of course. But then she's also like, come on, like live a little. You don't do anything outside of work. And so then we go to a scene where Nash takes her to the tattoo parlor with him. And he's like, no, I'm going to get a piercing. I'm going to pierce my dick. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to pierce my dick. And then she really wants to look at his dick because there's all these rumors about how he has a giant cock. And then he doesn't end up piercing his dick. He pierces his nipple, but it does turn out that he does have a giant cock.
A huge cock. And also, one other thing that we should have said, right after the funeral, she gets in her car and somebody's in her car behind her.
Oh, yeah, the drug dealer.
Pushes a gun up against her head. And he's like, give me my money. She gives him his money. And then she's like,
I want double the amount of drugs.
I want so much more drugs so that I can throw many of these parties. So he delivers on that promise. And they're getting ready for Nash's 40th birthday with all of these drugs. And then they have a ton more on top of that.
Yep.
So there's a bunch of prep going into that party. And it's also... they mention how this is going to be like a toy party, and then they get sponsored by a sex store. So they're stocked up on drugs and shit tons of sex toys.
Yeah. So it's the night of the party. Rebel's like, oh, Nash, you're not working. It's your birthday. And Bliss, you're not working either. And she's like, what? Yes, I am. And she's like, nope, we hired extra help. You're not working. And she's like, you're all Nash's tonight. And she's like, she's been flirting with the idea of like, please come on. There's something here with him. And he's been like, deny. But this whole book, he's been like a little like, giving some space. And he's like, okay, I am really into her. Like, what the fuck am I doing?
He let her see his dick at the tattoo shop.
He let her see his dick at the tattoo shop. He knows she's interested because there's a scene at the bar where War takes her into the bathroom and he eats her out. And he's like, he's like, I know you're like, want Nash. Like, just call out his name. And so she comes with War's tongue on her clit, yelling Nash's name in the bar. And she's like, he's like, no one will hear you. And they open the door, and Vincent, Nash, and Rebel are all standing outside the door. And so then she's like mortified, but also I think it was the push Nash needed to be like, what the fuck am I doing?
And it was also the indication that she might be interested in these other guys, but she's being pretty clear with them that she's also interested in me. So her attention is evenly spread.
Yeah, absolutely. And so flash forward, we're at Nash's birthday party. He's like, okay, yep, you're mine for the night. And he takes her to this room that is like, it's a room that's mirrored with another room that has like a giant glass wall in between. So you can see the people in the other room. They can see you. And so she's like, oh, let's do whatever they do, we do. And so that's what they start doing until she's like, what are they doing? And he's like, oh, you don't have to do that. And she's like, no, what is it? And the guy across the way is putting a butt plug in the girl. And she's like, I want to do it. And so then this is where we like start, okay, let's go. We're working our way downtown to the double penetration town.
Thank God. Yeah. It was really warm in this
We don't get it in this book, but
it hints it.
It hints. And we're getting there. Like, she's got a butt plug in. They fuck. She has a great time. And so that's kind of where we are with them. They finish. Her mom, after the funeral and they beat the shit out of Jerry, she's like, Mom, like, you can't go back. You can't keep going back to Jerry. And so she's trying to help her mom. She has no faith in her mom, but she gives her a job, and she's like, you can stay at the bar. And so during the party, she's worried about her mom because she's kind of like a drug addict. And so she's like, you stay in my office and just like, don't be a part of this, and we'll get you to work in the regular bar tomorrow. And so she goes to check on her mom, and her mom is kind of freaking out. And she's like, what's going on? And her mom says, I think Jerry killed Axel, and like, I have the gun with me that I think he killed Axel with. And so you're like, immediately, this is not good. Bliss is like, oh, fuck. Like, calm down. Give me the gun. She takes the gun and she puts it in the safe with all the drugs and all the drug money. And a gun that is like a criminal's gun and maybe murdered her brother. So and that's not going to be good.
She like has this heart to heart with her mom, and it's a really warm moment where they're finally connecting. And she's like, it kind of felt like I was the mom and she was the daughter as she leaned her head on me and she's asking me about my relationship.
Yeah.
And then she says, Nash is really one of the good ones. All of the girls always say that he was the nicest.
Like the best pimp they ever had. And so Bliss is like, what?
The nicest pimp they ever had.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
He sold women. He sold women. Like, you're
so
kidding.
Bliss is freaking out. Nash doesn't know that Bliss knows. So that's what's going on inside the club. Outside the club, War isn't there yet. And Scythe is like, where are you? I'm waiting for you to come. And War is unknowingly to Scythe trying to set up the sting to catch Scythe.
And we missed an important part. Vincent's mom comes to visit them.
Oh, yeah. And so War, after they have the threesome, Vincent's mom shows up with Jezebel, who Scythe is supposed to marry.
Yes.
And she's also like a stabby contract killer.
So then Bliss realizes that two of the men she's interested in are engaged to other people.
Yeah, she's really upset. So she's pissed at Scythe. Scythe is working the front door. He knows she's mad at him. He just wants to see War to make him feel better, to also kind of get in her good graces. But War is with the MC Club. He's like, I have to do something about my dad. They're right. Like, somebody sends a picture of War kissing Vincent to everybody in the MC Club, and they're super homophobic, which is... They talk about how War's dad raised him to fuck women in front of people so people wouldn't think he was gay. And so that like internalized homophobia in the community, which he doesn't have himself, but it is like ingrained in the community. And so it's a little stressful, but that happens before he fucks like Bliss and gives Vincent the blowjob. So he's not letting it control his choices, but it is a relevant topic in the club right now.
And he also feels like he has to go find his dad's killer in order to prove to them that he is not soft and that his sexuality,
like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, his sexuality doesn't make him a bad leader. Yeah. So he goes to find this killer who he thinks is Scythe.
They set up this like sting operation, and so they call and they set up a meeting with Scythe, and they're there, and they put Hawk, who's like his VP and his best friend growing up in the motor club. They put him as the plant because they don't want to just have War out there to die in case this is a setup by the sinners. And so they put Hawk out there, and War and Fang and everybody are watching from a van. They have Hawk's back, and lo and behold, one of them goes, oh my God, Scythe's a woman? And War's like, no, she's not. Because he recognizes her as Vincent's mom that he met at the house after the threesome. And so he's freaking out because now he knows that Vincent is Scythe.
And he had, during the
Scythe
threesome,
killed his father.
And during the threesome, he had seen this birthmark on Vincent's hand, and he thought it was an upside down L. And in this moment of clarity, when sees...
it's not an upside down L, it's a Scythe. And Bliss knows because she kept calling him, like almost calling him Scythe and then catching herself. And so War is like torn up. He's so upset. He's like, let's go get him. I know where he is. And he heads to the sex club.
And he also thinks that Scythe has only grown close to him in order to kill him. He's like,
does he have a hit on me too? And so he shows up to the sex club to like, I think he's there, like in his mind, he's like, I gotta kill this guy that killed my dad. And is manipulating me and manipulating like Bliss against me, whatever. And so he shows up. And Scythe is so happy to see him until he realizes, like, oh no, because War says, like, he calls him Scythe. And he's like, oh fuck. And War, like, I think has a gun to him, right?
He says, hey, Scythe, and walks up and puts a gun underneath his chin. And Scythe, who is usually instinctively ready to kill anybody who comes after him,
like had his guard completely down because he has feelings for this person.
And he forces himself. He knows he has a blade in his shirt, and he's like, I'm ready to die. I'm not going to defend myself against somebody that I love. So he says, he's like, I know you know who I am. I know you know I killed your father, but let me tell you the whole story.
Yeah, and he's like, I was following your parents. They went out to dinner. They went up to the bluffs. I was like driving behind them, and they went off the cliff, and I did not see brake lights. And War is like, no, my dad did not like do that. He would never do that to my mom or himself. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I climbed down the cliffs. I went to see if they were okay. And your dad had like a piece of metal through his chest, and he begged me to end it. And so that's why I killed your dad. And he's like, it's this huge revelation. And he's kind of like on the border of like, I believe you, I don't believe you. And all of a sudden, police raid. Police start filing. People start running out of the club, and they're like, oh, what's going on? And then the police are running in, and they both are like, oh, fuck, we have to get Bliss. Like, there's enough drugs in there to send Bliss away for a long time. Like, they're so worried about her. They start running into the club. The motorcycle gang they grab War. They're like, no, you can't go in. They pull him out. Vincent's running to find Bliss, and all of a sudden he gets tackled, and his vision gets a little hazy, and all of a sudden, who's in front of his face? Fucking Tabor, the fucking warden from the prison.
And just a reminder, Vincent has escaped from the prison in the first trilogy that we went over in book club. He escaped the prison. He's a wanted convict.
Yeah.
And flashback to the beginning of this book.
Yeah, after they carve the name into Caleb, and then they visit him in the night to make sure, like, a life check, he like pisses himself, and then he's like scared, and they leave, and then he's like, no, I can't do this, and he drags himself up. He doesn't shower or anything, and he goes down to the police station, and he's like, someone needs to talk to me, someone needs to talk to me. And everybody thinks he's like a crazy homeless person, but this guy's like, I'll talk to you, but you have to come in here. Like, you have to understand, you look like you're covered in piss, you smell, you like
are on drugs,
you look like you're high, and something like nobody's going to take you seriously. And he introduces himself. He says, I'm Tabor.
And then Caleb goes, I've been attacked by my ex-girlfriend and a guy she's calling Scythe. And Tabor goes, I need to talk to you. Yes.
Yeah, we need to talk. So that happens. And so in this scene,
which is why they should have killed Caleb.
Dude, literally so many problems could have been solved if Caleb died. So many. Like, more than you can even fathom at this point in your St. View journey. Tabor is in Vincent's face. He's starting to get hazy, so I think they drugged him. And he's like, oh, well, I'll just escape from your prison again. And Tabor's like, you will not get the opportunity to escape from my prison again. I'm not taking you back to the prison. And that's how the book ends.
And Vincent notices, he's like, there is something dark in his eyes that
I recognize from my own eyes.
I know he's going to kill me.
Yeah. So this is how the book ends. So we don't know what's happening with Bliss. We don't know what's happening with Nash. We don't know what's happening with War. And we don't know what's happening with fucking Scythe. And this cliffhanger is rough. It's bad. You're like, how where could we possibly go from here?
I'm like, so
that's not like life ending.
I'm so tempted to just like read the next one right away, but I have to save it for book club next month.
Know.
But holy shit, the cliffhanger is crazy. I have some predictions. So I predict that War's dad did not kill himself, that his brakes were cut.
Okay.
So I think that there's still more conspiracy
Who
there.
do you think might be responsible for that, if that's what happened?
I think maybe like his best friend Gus, who was the other founder of the club, or it's an inside man who hired the hit and cut the brakes.
Okay.
So that's what I think's going on there.
What do you think's going on with Axel? Do you have are you any closer? We really don't delve into that very much in this book, but like, do you have any thoughts?
Because we get his mom saying, I think it was Jerry who killed him. I don't think it was Jerry who killed him, although it would make sense that he called his sister and said, do you want some goldfish? Because he used to say that when Jerry was coming for them.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, but I just don't really believe that Jerry could have killed Axel. I feel like Axel would have been able to take him out, and I don't think Jerry has an army behind him. It's just Jerry.
Yeah.
So I am feeling like Axel's murderer has to do maybe with that drug dealer still somehow.
I will tell you one thing. We have met Axel's murderer.
I'm like...
So that's not like a huge clue, but it's a clue.
I'm like, we have the people who work in the bar and we have the people who are in the motorcycle club.
It's a clue. And like at this point, I also had no idea the first time. I was like,
Tabor.
I don't know.
It could totally be a police officer because we know that the police officers are crooked. So it could absolutely be Tabor or somebody else in the law enforcement community. Okay, so that's one guess there. As far, I don't know. I have some real weird feelings about Siren.
For this one, I feel like this one is really one I did not see coming until like halfway through the third book. And I was just like, wait, what? Like, yeah, it's a good one.
I have some weird feelings about Siren, the girl from the motorcycle club.
Yeah, Siren's a piece of shit.
I don't have any feelings about Rebel. Nothing suspicious about Rebel, Nash, or War, or Vincent. None of them could be part of Axel's murder. So yeah, I'm really curious what's going to happen with that. As far as I have a huge prediction about how the drug bust is going to go down.
Okay. I want to hear this.
The mom is going to take the fall. She's going to say she owns half the bar, that it's her drugs, her party, her murder weapon, and Bliss is going to get off scot-free, and it's going to be the only thing that her mom could do to redeem herself for a lifetime of trauma that she's put Bliss through.
Ooh.
Am I so wrong?
That is an interesting prediction.
Okay, I cannot wait to see if I'm right about that, because it would be one way for her to redeem herself by making sure that her daughter completely did not get the fall here. Also, she has worn out for her arrest, so she's going to get arrested anyways once they're in there.
Yeah.
It was crazy. The cops are just shooting into this crowd. They shot a woman in the shoulder.
Dude. Crazy. Well, I think the motorcycle club's shooting at them. I think that's why, but it does still feel like, because you don't really think about it until they're like, yeah, they're shooting at each other, and you're just like, why are the cops shooting? But you're like, oh, the whole motorcycle gang is shooting at the police.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
It is a riot, is what's happening.
It's a riot. Full on like a raid. Yeah.
Do you know what's funny is there's one moment, and I'm sure this doesn't matter at all, but Vincent is like, lets in a middle-aged couple without checking their IDs. And I'm like, what if that was Bliss's parents? Because she found out that her parents, her dad and her stepmom, had been to the sex club before, because she finds a mask in her stepmom's drawer. And then Vincent's like, I was so busy worrying about...
It could be. I've never thought about that. It could be like an Easter egg.
I think it was an Easter egg.
I don't know. This time through, I was like, oh, were those like police officers that like then called in backup, or like Tabor's agents that he just like didn't think about? That's where my mind went this time, but...
That could absolutely be.
Because we never find out, so.
And it is curious, like, why did they show up on this night? I feel so bad for Nash. This is his 40th birthday. He's getting old as hell. He just finally got to hook up with his woman who got out of bed really quickly to go check on her mom. And I was just like, if I was still dripping cum, I would not be going to hang out with my mommy. But Nash's night, it started great. It ended really bad.
Yeah, it all went downhill. Yeah, it did. It
went downhill really fast.
Really fast.
Book 2, amazing. I'm so excited for book 3. Is there anything else I should have any predictions about?
No.
Okay.
Not that I can think of. Who is your delusional boyfriend after this book?
My delusional boyfriend, it's so hard because my delusional boyfriends are Vincent and War
together.
It's Scythe and War together.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose between them, like who is my favorite, it would still be War, because War is so comfortable with himself. He thinks back to the fact that he's always known he was bi. He comes out to the motorcycle club and says, vote me in or vote me out, but I'm not going to hide who I am, and I'm not going to be ashamed of it.
Yeah, I do love that.
It's so good. And then he's also the first to get on his knees. So he's like he's through and through a service top. When he is topping his woman, he's like very dominant, spanking her, doing ass stuff. He like knows exactly what he wants. And then when he's with Vincent, which I'm just like, who's going to bottom first? And it's like,
I don't even remember. So I can't wait to find out.
There's a moment.
I don't remember. I read these books so fast.
There's a moment where they're like in the shower together and he's like, next time I want all of you. And I can't remember who says it to who, but the other one thinks to themselves, I'll let them do whatever they want.
Well, I think it's War talking to Scythe, because we're in Scythe's perspective for that chapter. And then it goes to Bliss's perspective. So
I wonder, so is War going to top first? And
I don't remember. I honestly don't know.
Because
I don't remember.
If these are BL rules, then whoever...
It's not BL rules.
But this is how I have to track my logic. If it was BL rules, the person who gave head first would be the bottom, because usually the tops don't give head. So if it was BL rules, then that would make War the bottom first. And I do think they're going to switch. I really hope they switch, because like
they do.
They're such equal matches for each other. I was trying to think of this line earlier. There's a line where War is getting all turned on because Vincent's sprayed in blood, and he's just like, you look like a warrior covered in blood. And he's like, oh, does that turn you on? And he goes, nothing like a little bit of violence to get the blood pumping. Yeah. I'm like, that is why we read MLM. That's right. Why we read BL. That amount of testosterone in a room is so horny, and I cannot wait to see where it takes us. I do think that they're going to have like a violent sex scene where he's still pissed at him for killing his dad, so things get really rough, and I cannot wait to see what happens. So it would be fun to see War fuck Vincent in the ass to get a little bit of revenge for him killing his own dad. But I'm super excited to see. So I would have to say, for this book, my delusional boyfriend is War, locking in my answer. What about you?
Okay, I think Scythe for this book, but like I think War is my overall for the whole like series. But I love Scythe. I love his personality. Like, I would be friends with him.
I love him.
He's so funny. His sense of humor is so my vibe. Like, I would absolutely be friends with him. He is a good time. I love him.
I like the way that he pinned Bliss's hands down. And then this is what I will say about Bliss, is in the first book, I was like, I'm not really sure if she's someone I would be friends with. You're like, just wait. In this book, she's definitely more of somebody I would be friends with. But she acts all like, I hate Scythe because he's not Vincent, and Scythe is sarcastic and annoying, and Scythe,
but she immediately is like, you can tell that she's like putting that on. That's like a put on for herself, because she's mad that she has feelings for him.
I know.
Because,
it annoys me.
But I think it's because of the things that Vincent told her about Scythe, that like it feels like she's betraying Vincent if she also likes Scythe, which... it gets reconciled. But okay, I get what you're saying. But
biggest prediction for the next book is that Vincent and Scythe's personalities combine back together, because there's this thing going on where Scythe is dulling down all of his violent tendencies, and he's kind of starting to listen to Vincent. And I feel like he might switch back into Vincent, but I also feel like their personalities are going to reconcile a little bit, where they're able to coexist.
What do you think is going to happen if they switch back with War?
Oh, well, you already told me that War doesn't like Vincent. And
then Vincent doesn't like War.
Well, that will be a huge bummer for me. But if the personalities reconcile and they stop taking over and they can coexist...
better hope.
I do fucking hope. But I do hope that Vincent stays or that Scythe stays in control when he's in jail. Otherwise, Vincent doesn't really stand a chance. Scythe needs to stay in control so that he can...
You keep forgetting that Tabor literally says, I am not taking you back to the prison.
Well, yeah.
It's not jail. It's not jail, guys.
When he goes back to get murdered by this warden, I hope that Scythe stays in control, because definitely we need Scythe to take care of business. Yeah. But yeah, I do hopefully predict that those two reconcile their personalities a little bit, so that Vincent and Scythe can both coexist as partners with these other people.
Yep.
I really do hope so. But what was it? Oh, Oh, I was just going to say Nash is not a delusional boyfriend because why won't he just suck a dick? He's part of the sex club. Like, just come on.
I know. It's like, babe.
Come on. Just give me a little something.
Babe.
Give me a little something.
There is a really good scene in the next book that you're going to love that takes place in the sex club. And you're going to love it.
Well, I hope they're all present because now Scythe is in custody.
Well, don't know.
Oh, okay.
Don't know, except, it's a fucking romance book, so it's going to have happily ever after.
And would you... Yeah, it's definitely going to resolve itself in the next book.
Sorry, spoiler alert. This is a romance, so it has a happy ending.
It's MFMM. There's going to be 3 M's at the end.
We're worried.
Okay.
You should be worried, but, not that much.
Would you date Scythe IRL?
No, I can't keep a secret that he's killing people.
Also, he's, killing people.
Dude, straight up. Murder.
Yeah,
he does
not care.
He's a murder and mayhem guy. I couldn't, no. I would go to prison immediately, and so would he, because I would tell somebody.
I could not date...
No way.
War.
I couldn't date War either. Motorcycles? Come on, man. No.
And then on top of that, he's just honestly, I love that he's bi, but I hate that he's a slut. I would be so jealous of Siren. I would, first of all, kill that bitch. Second of all, I would probably never let him live it down. I'd just be like, so you fucked other girls? You know other women?
Do you say that to your husband? Huh?
Thank God, for 10 years, I've been the only one. But I still, once in a while, his one high school girlfriend, who's not even pretty, just joking, she's pretty, but, I have no reason to be jealous of her. They were a fling in high school. I, once in a while, will bring it up and be like, how dare you know another woman's name? How dare you?
Oh, so funny.
And then how does Scythe rank against all the other boys from the other series?
Oh, he's one of my favorites, for sure. And he's a fan favorite. He makes a lot of appearances throughout the series because everybody loves him.
Is he your number 1 right now?
Overall?
For everybody.
Ooh, no. No, we haven't met him yet.
No.
We've met him.
Of people we've met.
Oh, of the...
Now I know that it's...
Of the 6 that we've met?
War's bestie is going to be your favorite. Shut up. Okay. Wait, so no, of all the people we've met, so in the first 3, it was Liam and...
No, I think Liam is still my favorite. I don't know. I do love Scythe, but if I had to date one of them, it would be Liam.
Okay. Liam can still be your number 1. I would say...
If you had to date one of them IRL, which one would it be? Ro?
Yeah, it would still be Ro.
Yeah, it would be Ro.
Ro's got a huge...
But that's because this series is the least realistic,
Yeah.
And I would say they keep kind of being this vibe, which I like. It's they're way more fun, plot wise.
Yeah.
But they become the morally gray is a part of the fun.
The first book, they're all green flags.
Yeah, it could not. Yeah.
They're all green flags. There's one person who's a suspected murderer, but he's not a murderer. None of them are. Yeah. They aren't that kinky. And it's just, it's a lot more green flag.
Yeah.
I would say War right now has dethroned everybody else from the first series.
Yeah.
I love how in this book, it's all about trust. And she constantly says, I trust you. I'll let you do whatever you want to me because I trust you. And I do feel like these men are all her bodyguards and they are going to take her past her limits and she's going to love that. Yeah. And I really like that dynamic. And I think that her and War and the voyeurism and War being comfortable with other men, I like all of that. So he is definitely my number 1 right now.
Yeah.
Of anybody in all the Elthor books. I think I can lock in with War as my number 1. I'm excited to see who else.
I'm excited for you to see how possibly one of my favorite boyfriends from the series becomes likable. Because I'll tell you what, so far.
So it's his best. His best.
So far, we hate Hawk. He's a monster, and we don't like him. But we do know that he's beautiful.
Yeah, we know he's beautiful, and he is one of the bi boys, right?
Well, he turns out to be, but he's going to get real homophobic in the next book. I was going to say, first.
He is homophobic in this one. He keeps thinking, he says to him, we're best friends. Everyone knows we're close. People are going to think I'm gay, too. And it's shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up. Shut your stupid fucking mouth.
It takes him a while in his own book to get over it.
I know it would shut you the fuck up.
When he does get over it, it's good.
If you shoved a cock in your mouth, it would shut you the fuck up.
Ding ding.
So I am excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see how the motorcycle club becomes like queer friendly.
Yeah. I'm so excited for the new series that's coming out. I can't wait because I know it's going to be good. I love when a new reverse harem comes out.
Give a little preview. So she's got a book coming out September, August.
August 20th, September 20th, October 20th is when her new reverse harem comes out. And it's called The Murder Squad. And we meet one of the characters. I think we've only met one, maybe two of the MMCs. We haven't met the FMC yet, but we meet him in Kara's trilogy, which is where we meet Hawk. Like, that's his book. And he's a murderer, and him and Scythe meet for the first time, and they like become besties.
I'm so excited for that.
I know, right?
Because Scythe doesn't have any friends, and War is his first friend ever, and he killed his dad.
It's
and
so sad.
And like Scythe,
that part is like low-key so sad.
It's so sad. And Scythe keeps being like, well, Vincent has people who care about him, but
not me. My
Scythe,
mom's my only one that cares about me. She doesn't care about me. She just cares about what I can do for her. Oh, yeah, it is sad.
And I will say this: I'm really excited to see if the next book has as much absurd, fucking annoying chuckling as this.
Oh my god, okay.
Can we talk about it?
That's the part I have problem with in an audiobook. When you say he laughed, I don't need you to go the worst.
This book, I will say, if you listen to this audiobook,
there's like one time where they don't say he chuckled before the chuckle happens, and that's the most bearable one. It is the worst.
It happens and I don't know if like in the other books they weren't directing them to chuckle, or if she wasn't writing that they chuckled, and that it's just this like a Scythe thing and a War thing that they're.
It happens chuckling. A few times in prison, but like Scythe is always giggling, and so it happens all the time, and it is the worst.
And it's just, yeah, I mean, this book especially, the rest of them didn't stand out to me that bad. This book, number 2.
I thought about it the whole time last book. And so I think maybe you just didn't notice till this book. I've been noticing the whole time, and it's rough. I hate it.
At least every other time they say they laughed menacingly, or they chuckled, or they giggled sarcastically, or whatever. Every other time say it, and then every other time chuckle.
Don't both. We don't need both.
Maybe once in a while direct them not to do it at all. Just like move past it.
Don't need it.
And like during sex scenes and stuff, like, so I will, that's like just a note for anybody out there who's writing a book. You don't need to make your characters chuckle that much. But I will say that I liked the voice acting on this one a lot. I thought that the performances were great and the writing was spectacular.
And remember last time when you were like, I don't like her voice. By this time, were you like, no, I think I just didn't like that part of her personality.
I didn't like Bethany Melissa, and she gets less Bethany Melissa.
Yeah, she starts going full Bliss, and it's better. Yeah.
It is a lot better.
I think that's why at first it's kind of grating, because I think it's like the way that she's acting and like the personality she's putting on for everyone around her is grating.
And I do really like Rebel's voice, and you told me that Rebel's voice changes a little bit in her book, but it's the same voice actress.
Yeah.
And I am excited for that.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Rebel overall is such like a powerhouse. She like sets
Rebel.
up the whole sex
party.
Love
she Rebel.
Cleans. She makes sure that Nash, she's like, I'm rooting for you, Nash, but you gotta make sure that you get her attention because you see these other boys. And like Rebel is just always instigating and orchestrating.
Totally. And she's like
tiny and cute.
She's like such a ride or die too, though. I love it.
Yeah, when she finds out that Bliss has slept with Vincent and War already, and she didn't tell her, she's like, you didn't tell your bestie?
Yeah.
And she's just like, she assumes that she's her best friend, and she acts like she's her best friend, and she's a girl's girl all the way. So excited for that.
And I love the scene like that when the funeral's happening and Bliss and Vincent have been gone, and Nash and War are like, we're leaving, and she's like, no, you're fucking not.
She's like,
no, you're fucking not. She's like, you're not leaving me alone in this bar with all these fucking people. We're understaffed. I can't handle it. It's chaos already. There's no fucking way you're leaving me. Bliss is a big girl. She's gonna be fine. Vincent's a crazy motherfucker. He's got her back. You're staying to help me, which I love.
She believes in Bliss so much. From the beginning, she's Bliss's biggest ally, and I love that they're from different sides of the track. And she has no questions about Bliss's integrity, her capacity to handle all these different men.
She's a homegirl.
She's constantly like encouraging Bliss to find herself and go further and be bigger and be herself and take up space. And like it's such a fun combination.
Yeah,
and in the last book, we didn't have a best friend like that.
No.
Because because she was embroiled in the crime. So
Yeah.
she was more behind the scenes. So it was really, I mean, we value friendship so much, and I just love to see that represented in a book. So I just love seeing Rebel and Bliss have each other's back. I can't wait to get to Rebel's story and read more of that. So she's in her own solo novel. She doesn't have a reverse harem.
No, she has a reverse harem.
Yes.
She's the next reverse harem.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. Okay. But I was going to say, when we get to the solo ones, we should do like a Christmas special or something, like a bonus episode, because I do
Yeah,
want to
we
get into
can.
them.
No, they're good.
Okay.
Yeah. And you would love them. I mean, like,
How many?
the first one's a stripper and a police officer. The second one is a stripper and a priest. The third one is a male stripper and Vincent's sister. So, contract killer. And then the fourth one is Vincent's other sister and her, like, kidnapper's brother.
Oh my God. So are those the only other 4 outside of the main 4 trilogies?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still thinking.
They're so good.
I'm thinking about what we're going to do next year, but
Oh, girl, I have so many locked away. We have to do Pucking Around. I'm sorry.
I know. I was like, maybe we should do.
We have to do that series because
I was like, maybe we can do
so good.
all hockey, but then I was trying to come up with a theme for it because I know you have at least 12 hockey books.
yeah,
But I do want to get
obviously.
to the rest of Elle Thorpe, so we're going to have to work out how we're going to fit those in
We'll figure
as
it out.
bonus episodes, whatever. But I am really excited to get to them, and I hope you guys are excited for the 3rd book in this trilogy, which will be June's romance novel of the month,
Yep, and it's called It Ends with Violence.
I'm so excited.
good.
I'm excited for some stuff to get started with violence. I can't wait
Yeah.
for war and
And we
Vincent
are
get
going to
down.
start with violence because look at where we ended.
Oh, these cliffhangers
Yeah.
are killing me. So please do join us for next month. Again, please rate, review, and subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are listening on a podcast, make sure that you subscribe there so it auto downloads the next episode. Find us on all of our socials, Delusional Boyfriend Book Club or Delusional BF Book Club, on all of them. We're active on YouTube and especially on TikTok and Instagram. So please follow along, comment along. And if I can beg you guys to pick up a BL and read along in the manga and manhwa or watch an anime with me, I know you might be thinking that's not my shtick. I'm a book girly. I was too. This is like a whole nother door that's totally adjacent and parallel and super fun. So if you want to explore some of those territories, I invite you, I welcome you, and thank you so, so much for coming along on this journey with us for book club. It has been an absolute highlight of my year. It's almost June and it's flown by because I've had this calendar packed and I've had some of the best reads of my life. I found one of my absolute all-time favorite authors this year.
The best.
I'm so happy that we chose Elle Thorpe, and I hope that you guys are enjoying listening. If you guys want to follow Elle Thorpe's group on Facebook, it's called the Drama Llamas.
Yeah.
And they're super active over there if you want to have more conversations about the romance novels in particular.
And if you're loving this series or the series that we did before, she has special edition hardcovers on sale right now. They're so beautiful. And if you order before the end of May, she's shipping them free and everything ships from Australia. So that's like saves you money.
That's crazy. So definitely support the author.
I need to get them. If I have money, I really want to have money.
I'm going to have an Elle Thorpe shelf somewhere, and it's going to be
the special edition books are beautiful.
I'm so excited.
And they come with like, you get like a card that's like a Psycho's Sex Club card, and they're numbered. So like in order that you order. So like if I was order number like 272, my card would be 272.
Member number 272. Oh, we need those because how are we going to get into the sex club without them?
I know, we gotta get them. We gotta get them.
So thank you so much for following along. I can't wait to get into the next one, literally because of this cliffhanger. I cannot wait.
I know.
So we'll see you guys next month.
Cliffhanger queen.
See you guys in June. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, remember, sometimes the delusion
is the solution.
Bye.